Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com. Today we're going to take a look at how to make a shop dust collection system using a wet dry vac and standard PVC piping. Now I'm going to use my small rigid wet dry vac to power this system, and 2-inch PVC. I'm going to show you how to make the adapter that connects the wet dry vac to the PVC. The pipe can be hung on a wall or underneath your workbench. You use Y connections and 45-degree elbows, as well as some corrugated hose and some blast gates. The blast gates go in between each workstation. The end result is going to be a dust collection system that's really nice for any small shop. Now, I'm a custom knife maker. I don't create a lot of sawdust. I mean, I don't do a lot of woodwork. I basically just shape knife handles. But this system can be expanded on, and I'll talk about that later. We're going to start with 2-inch PVC and Y connections. You don't want to use T's. You want that dust, especially sawdust, to kind of flow in the right direction very easily without any restriction. Same reason why you want to use a 45 rather than a 90. You are going to use blast gates. This one is from Rockler. I like this one because it also gives you the ability to mount the system to a wall or to a table. All of the fittings for most dust collection systems are press fit, so you don't have to glue any of this PVC together. I am actually, for demonstration purposes, using a 90. We're in the pandemic. I didn't have 45s, but I will probably go back in the future and replace that with two 45s, just to give it a little bit of a smoother transition for the dust to flow in. You're going to create a blast gate in between each workstation. Sometimes the fittings don't fit onto those blast gates, in which case you can just heat them up with a heat gun, get them a little pliable, and then you can force it right on, and then let it cool in position, and it'll hold that shape. It just might fit a little bit better. So now, when one blast gate is open, that's where you're going to get the suction from, to that workstation. In use, you're only going to open one blast gate at a time. In addition, you're going to need some way of attaching the PVC pipe to the wall or to the workbench. These plastic hangers, I found these at Lowe's, very inexpensive, and they do a nice job. Or you could use that blast gate that I mentioned before as a means of attaching the PVC to the wall. You are going to have to adapt this system or fittings to each one of your tools. So this is a chop saw. I found some standard 1.5-inch PVC fittings. This one's a 90-degree elbow. But it didn't fit over the last ring on the hose connection. So I just heated it up with a heat gun, made it a little bit pliable, and then I was able to force it over that last ring, gave it a nice snug fit, left it in position to cool, and then I use that standard size now. I can adapt that up very easily, with the goal being to use an 1.5-inch to 2-inch adapter and a small piece of 2-inch pipe. I wanted to get it to the 2-inch size so that I could use this standard 2.5-inch tubing with a hose clamp. And then I'll show you how I adapt the other end to the dust collection system. So this is the other end now. And all I'm going to do is use a 2-inch coupling and a small piece of 2-inch pipe. That'll be press fit right onto that blast gate, and I'll probably end up putting a hose clamp on the hose. And when the blast gate's open, I'll then get suction through that hose. Now, it doesn't matter how long your pipe is. You're still going to end up with the same amount of suction that you would from your wet dry vac. So that's important, because you could actually put this wet dry vac outside and keep the noise level down in your shop, if you wanted to. This is a pin saw that I use. And again, I found this is a smaller piece of PVC. I think this was 1.25 inches. And I was able to use that same technique of heating it up with a heat gun and then forcing it over the hose connection on the machine. And then that can be more easily adapted to hosing. This is just a corrugated hose. Now the most important adapter is going to be the adapter that adapts or allows you to connect the wet dry vac hose into the dust collection system or into the 2-inch PVC. So what I did was I took a piece of 1.5-inch PVC. I put one end into an 1.5-inch to 2-inch adapter, and I heated up the other end with a heat gun until it was soft and pliable. I have the other end in that adapter just so it holds its round, no matter how much I heat it up. Then I force it, once it's pliable, onto the wet dry vac hose, and I let that cool. That will then hold its shape. So now I can use that adapter, the 1.5-inch to 2-inch adapter, and then I can plug that right in, and that will power my little shop dust collection system. Now remember I told you that you don't have to glue all of these fittings together. Of course, there's an exception to every rule. You know, any place that you have a piece that can be knocked into or banged around, or it can fall apart. So there are a couple of occasions where you do want to put this together. Instead of using glue, I just pre-drilled a hole and used a couple of small screws. This way, if I ever did want to reuse these fittings and reconfigure the system, they weren't all glued together. So a couple of small screws does the job. It holds everything together, so it's not going to fall apart on you, you know, when you don't want it to. And it does give you the ability to take it apart at a later time if you wanted to, you know, add an additional workstation or reconfigure the system or even clean out a dust clog. So this is the system when finished. This is one workstation. You see I have a Y connection going to a blast gate, going to flexible tubing, coming up, in this case to another Y connection, up to a dust hood. This is on a 2x72 belt grinder that I use for the knife making. For my shop, this is my main tool. And again, I said that I don't create a lot of sawdust. For people that do, you could add a cyclone dust separator or sawdust separator onto this wet dry vac. But I'll cover that on a separate video. So I was very happy with the results. In the past, this sawdust would have been flying all over the shop. And with this easy to build system, I'm really collecting about 90–95% of it gets sucked up. So with one blast gate closed and the next one open, I'm then going to suck through flexible tubing to a handheld vacuum for my disc grinders. And that's basically it. A very easy do-it-yourself dust collection system. In my case, I use it for knife making. If anybody's interested in looking at my knives, they can be found on www.bergknifemaking.com. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I ask that you please give it a thumbs up and possibly leave a comment below. I would love that. By all means, check us out on the web at DIYeasycrafts.com. Check out our other do-it-yourself projects. Thank you very much.